Our topic this week is how to meet our tests. And the Gita, the last couple of weeks, discusses the three qualities within us. Rajas, that draws us outward into the world, and tamas, that draws us downwards into inertia, into dullness, and sattva, that draws us upwards into inner calmness. And Krishna continues to say, as fire is obscured by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, as an embryo is enveloped by the womb, so is human understanding obscured by the three qualities. And each example here refers to one of the gunas. And when a test comes to us, the obstacles of sattva guna are easy to overcome. Just a puff of meditation and affirmation is enough to blow that smoke away. And likewise, Rajaguna. Perhaps those obstacles take a little bit more patience, a little more work with the Colin spray on the mirror to get it nice and shiny again. But Swami Kriyananda says about tamoguna, embracing such mental states as laziness, stupidity, can only be outgrown in time if we have no desire for self-improvement. If habit impels you, even against your will, to move in the wrong direction, strive at least to detach yourself mentally from that wrong action. A friend of mine did this when he was a young man. He felt that he was a glutton of ice cream, and he wanted to get over the habit. And so one day he sat at a table. He had his carton of ice cream in front of him, and he decided to put next to the ice cream a photo of Yoganandaji. And so he continued to eat his ice cream and gaze into the photo of Yoganandaji. And continuing to do this, at a certain point, he just felt that in the company of his guru, and his guru as a witness and companion, this habit just seemed to start to get silly. Why am I doing this? And we can ask ourselves, do we have any habits that are just a little bit silly like that? And we might try sharing them with a photo of the guru. The next time we get angry or we find ourselves overeating, just gaze into that photo at the same time. And at a certain point, it will just start to get silly, something that we really don't want or need anymore. And that photo won't judge you, but it will awaken your awareness so that we begin to be like the image in the photo. We begin to be not mindful, more detached and observing ourselves. I was at Ananda village just several years after it started, when a fire burned down almost all of the homes where we lived. And the people had lost their homes, everything. They had no money, they had no insurance. And after a couple of days, Swami Kriyananda called a meeting of everyone. And these were people who were meditators. They had a philosophical outlook to it all. At the same time, they had understandable human emotions and a sense of shock. And Swamiji led the meeting, and he was very compassionate and patient. At the same time, he wouldn't allow the energy in the meeting to drop into regret or nostalgia that would then lead us into tamas, into inertia. Instead, he needed to help us move forward with life. We needed to manifest action. We needed to be rajasic in meeting the test. And Swamiji was totally positive and practical, and he would ask calmly, it's almost like he was organizing a picnic, and saying, well, now who can bring the sandwiches? And who would like to bring the drinks? He said, well, now, who still doesn't have a place to sleep tonight? And what are some solutions, some at least temporary solutions? And somebody said, oh, my friend offered a caravan. One of the families could stay there. I'm happy to stay in a tent for the summer. And, my relatives, some of us could stay there. And in this way, sort of solutions were found. Then he said, well, now, how can we immediately start to earn money to start to rebuild? And, are there, manual labor jobs that some of us could do right away? And somebody said, well, it's time to harvest rice in the valley. And I did that once, and I know who to contact. Some of us could do that. And then someone else said, I could write a contract for planting trees in the forest, and a group of us could go and do that. And so these solutions were positive, they were practical, they were active. And once we have a solution, let's say, what do we do with it? Yoganandaji said he said, I give prescriptions for how to improve your life. But a doctor gives prescriptions, but then he has three kinds of patients. He said he has the wise patient who buys the medicine and takes it. And then the ignorant patient who buys the medicine and then doesn't take it. And then there's the foolish patient who takes a prescription, puts it in a nice frame, and puts the frame on his wall. Swamiji was asked once, why most people aren't interested in spiritual things. And he replied, they haven't yet suffered enough. There's the story of Kunti Devi, the mother of three of the Pandavas. And she was distraught when her sons were banished to the forest. And in her despair, she prayed to Krishna all the time. And seeing her devotion, Krishna came, offered her any boon, and she said, I want to have more difficulties because it was through my suffering that you came to me. And many people pray to God only when they're desperate. And other people take the opposite approach. They have a practice of prayer or meditation, but then when tragedy strikes, when they really need that prayer the most, they abandon all their spiritual practices. Sri Yukteswar would say that we need to make friends with God in the summertime of our life. If we don't do that, in the wintertime, he won't be there. If we don't establish spiritual practice while things are going well, we won't have those tools to help us when we really need them in hard times. And the way to meet those tests in life is to accept and embrace them. Embrace everything that comes to you. This is our challenge. And the way that one disciple of Yoganandaji did when he fell from a ladder and he broke his arm. And his first reaction was to exclaim, "Yes, Master, I accept this, whatever it is, and I'm grateful and I embrace it." And lastly, satsang, keeping the company of truth. And let God be your constant companion. Let me quote from Yoganandaji's wonderful poem from Whispers from Eternity. From the depths of slumber, as I ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness, I will whisper, God, God, God. When the boisterous storms of trials shriek, and when worries howl at me, I will drown their noises, loudly chanting, God, God, God. In waking, eating, working, dreaming, sleeping, serving, meditating, chanting, divinely loving, my soul will constantly hum, unheard by any, God, God, God. And may we practice japa like this. Thank you.
We certainly have a lot of tests in this world. Just within the past week, I think we had the biggest fire disaster in the history of the United States. And I've been to Lahaina also many times, not many, maybe 4 or 5. And, you know, disasters happen all over, but somehow when you've been there or you know people, it's like hits you harder. And just in this past week, floods in the mountains, you know, people leave their bodies from murders, from crimes, from drownings, from fires. We have financial disasters. We have economies failing. We have personal finances. We have issues with our families. People that we know, close ones, pass away from diseases. A lot of tests come in this world. There's a story, I've heard it at Ananda Village, I'm not sure where it originated, that this farmer was toiling in the field. He had a hard life. He'd had many, many tests. He was toiling. And an angel came to him and said, "Sir, let me take you to heaven. Let me take you to the astral world, and you can be free of all this toil, all this hardship." He said, "Oh, sounds very good." He said, "So tell me the advantages of that." And she says, well, you won't have to work, and you won't have all these trials and tests. It's beautiful sunshine every day. You can eat anything you want, and there's just peace all around you all the time. He says, "Wow, that sounds like a lot of advantages. And what are the disadvantages?" And he said, "Disadvantages," the angel said. "What? I'm telling you. You know, you can change, you can eat fruit from any tree. There's beautiful colors all around. You know, you're only with like-minded souls, and you're always in joy." And he said, "Okay, good, fine. That sounds good also. But tell me, what are the disadvantages?" Well, I guess there is that disadvantage that when your spiritual karma runs up, you have to come back to earth and continue your tests and spiritual growth. And he said, "Well, that disadvantage is so huge that why on earth would I ever go up to the astral world now? I know I have to finish my tests and find my freedom here. So our souls know when we incarnate on such a planet as this, with so many diverse vibrations, this planet of duality, with for every light there is darkness. But our souls know when we're born, this is what we signed up for. How else can we grow spiritually unless we embrace our tests that our karma will bring to us? And so therefore, it's always a surprise when we expect our life to be free from problems. We want a life of ease and pleasure and enjoyment. And when things go wrong or some sudden surprise comes and, oh, there's disaster in front of me, we act so surprised. You know, how is it that this happened? Why me? This person did this to me. This life isn't fair. Why me? It's not possible. It's a foundational mistake to expect that our life will be easy. Because the Divine Mother, she sends us to school. What if we have children? Are we going to let them stay home and play all day? Are we not going to make them read? Are we not going to make them learn mathematics? They don't want to go to school. They don't want to put out that energy. They don't want to take all those tests. But we're saying, no, you have to go. And Divine Mother's like, no, you have to learn. You have to learn. And how else will we learn? How else will we learn? Sister Gyanamata, who was Yogananda's most spiritually advanced woman disciple, said, our spirituality is tested in the cold light of day. So whatever peace we may feel in meditation, any calmness, any inner joy, any contentment, when we go outside, or even peace and joy that we feel in satsang, when we go outside and get into traffic, can we hold on to that peace? And so what are the attitudes that we're receiving in a spiritual life, that we're receiving in meditation, and can we hold on to them in our lives? There was a time when Ananda was going through severe financial difficulties, and Swami said, we have to put out more energy to overcome this obstacle. We can't sink in lethargy. And so he wrote this book, Do It Now. He printed 3,000 copies, and he had all the communities give them away to all the new people coming in, even gave them out on the street somewhere. I can't remember where. But, you know, his idea was put out more energy, overcome this resistance of Maya that's holding us back. And he was saying one time that a very, very, very good friend of his betrayed him at a certain point. And he was feeling quite low, and he was angry at this person. And then he went into meditation, and he was able to take this energy that was sort of maybe pointing out slightly in blame, and in fairness, in some ways, in human terms, we would say he had a right to be angry. But his energy came in, he got back in his center, he uplifted it, and in meditation, God's grace just flowed to him, and he received this peace, but also in his heart, a deep compassion for this soul, saying, she's going to earn bad karma for this, and it's like, I feel bad for her. I want to help her now. So his compassion was such that this is a friend who now needs help. Let me just give her my help. So that was not something he could just think his way out of. He needed to lift his consciousness through all the tools that we have. Our solutions come from superconsciousness. So once he lifted it, then grace could descend. And he could not have made this change of heart just on the surface. It came from God. It was a grace that transformed him inwardly. And so, for example, if our attitudes from meditation are even-minded in cheerfulness, calmness, peace, more unconditional love, don't just be satisfied with that. We need to continue to work on those attitudes so that they become who we are. And we need to open ourselves in meditation for that grace. We need to get to that place where that transforming energy can flow to us. and rearrange our chakras from the inside. So, our spirituality is tested in the cold light of day, but in that meditation, we need to constantly, in our spiritual life, constantly affirm these attitudes of positivity, of calmness, of even-minded cheerfulness that Krishna asks us for. And sometimes that's not always that easy, but that meditation, that going inside, is going to help us remember, I actually came for this. I was born for this problem. At one point, Jesus Christ said, "For this hour I was born." And so, sure, we know we incarnated into this lila, into this maya. And so we have to remember, what is this lila? I am playing a role. This is who it looks like I am from the outside. But that's not who I really am. So we need to get some distance from some objectivity from these problems that are so close to us that we can't see anything else. And just remember, I'm playing a role here. And this is all about me learning about light and darkness. I am not really this mother, this wife, this job, this nationality, this religion. I am a soul came in to learn. And so let me look at this in the longer rhythm. One of the things we say is, we don't say, why is this happening to me? We say, why is this happening? So when we step back and we look at the Leela a little bit, look at the movie the movie that's called Daya, the movie that's called Shavendra, and we step back from that movie instead of saying, why me, and we say, why? And then we can look at it and go, I can see. Just a little bit of darkness here, need to add some light, learn that lesson, move on to the next one, and look at life's longer rhythms and take a step back. Meditation helps us do that because we can remember who we really are. Nayaswami Bharat from Ananda village, he had many years of poor health. After decades of traveling the globe and sharing nature with many different countries, he was a naturalist and shared many different exercises, wrote many books, and suddenly he was stricken with maybe 3 years of very ill health. And he was wondering, why, Divine Mother, why? But he always evaluated himself on how well he was meditating and how much he was serving and how much good he was doing in the world. And he realized that Divine Mother didn't want him even to identify himself like that. She had stopped him in his tracks and made him look deeply. What delusion is holding me back here? And he realized that I don't have to identify myself with those roles, as good as they are. I just want to identify myself as a lover of God, a lover of Divine Mother. And that's who I really am. And that's who I want to be. And he also tells a story, Nayaswami Bharat tells a story that Swami had told. I read it, I learned from Nayaswami Bharat, but Swami had told the story of a disciple of Yoganandaji, advanced cancer, just had an operation. Anesthesia wore off. When she woke up, she was in incredible pain. And she knew she may leave her body soon. And so when she woke up in this pain, she just cried, Master, Master, I don't mind dying, but I don't want to die in this pain. I don't want to die in this state of negativity. And he immediately heard her prayer, and she heard the voice, I will help you. But you must be grateful for everything. That is the key. So here she is, probably on her deathbed in incredible pain. And she just worked her way back from the darkness into the light by being grateful for every tube, for every injection, for every pain, for every thing that she could think of. She just truly offered herself into that and said, thank you, God, this is for me. Thank you, Master, this is for me. And she crawled out of that place of darkness into a place of great peace and great gratitude and light. And she inspired all the doctors and nurses all around her. So gratitude, of course, for our Tess. thank you. I was born for this. I was born for this. And so faith and courage that we chose this, that God is in charge and all is well. And the tests that come to us, we offer back. Here, Divine Mother, I'm going through this test. I offer this at your feet. And most of all, I offer you my love, because this is why I am here. And Krishna, although he says, get away from my ocean of misery and suffering, he also says, my devotee is never lost. God bless you.